Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Get Booked. We're officially in a new month, and you know what that means? Woohoo! New bingo card! So what are we talking about this month, Jennifer?
Your favorite!
Science fiction!
What? Okay, so...
Oh, hi, I'm Mary, this is Jennifer, by the way. I forgot to
Hi.
do that part.
We should define science fiction because we do have a science fiction / fantasy section, and there are differences to science fiction and fantasy.
Although sometimes they do cross the streams.
They can.
Yes, which, unlike Ghostbusters, is okay.
Alright, so what's your definition of science fiction?
Science fiction, for me, it's things that are, like, futuristic, as well as usually have a lot of, like, technology, alternate worlds. They can be kind of fantasy-esque sometimes, but, like, it's not really, I don't know, I blur the lines on it a lot, but I'm one of those people. I cross the streams. What's your definition of science fiction?
So mine is anything that can be explained by science. Like technologies and, so we had this big debate. So I consider vampires to be science fiction because it's genetic mutations and it can be explained by science. I was voted down. But
Because vampires are a curse.
Scientific genetic modification, explained by science.
Vlad the Impaler did a bunch of bads, and then he was cursed, and now he's a vampire.
But not all vampire books are like that.
But nobody cares about Twilight.
I wasn't counting Twilight. But, alright. So, that is our definition. Scientific explained, you've got aliens, you've got space, you've got...
Lasers, pew pew, clones.
Yes. Genetic mutations,
Dystopian.
Yes. Time travel.
Yeah, I think sometimes the dystopian can also kind of get on that borderline of fantasy and science fiction, depending on, like, how the world ended.
It can be.
Yeah. Cool. So, who wants to go first?
So I'm just going to be real up front. Science fiction is not my genre. But, here we go. I'll go first, since I said that. So, also, we are doing, first book in a series, and this is not the first book in the series. Because the first book was checked out.
I have that problem, too. It's okay.
It happens. But I wanted to talk about this. Okay, so I haven't read the series. But it is a show on Netflix. So this is Caliban's War by James S.A. Corey. The first book was Leviathan...
Leviathan Waits.
Yep. Sorry. I'm trying to read my note there. So it's based... The Expanse show, which is now on Prime, but started on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yes, it hopped.
Is based off of this series, and it was really good. So I am halfway through the series. It's kind of the series I go to when I'm not binging anything else. So you have, it's sort of like after, it's kind of, I feel like it's the aftermath of a dystopian. So you've got like Earth, and you've got Mars, and you've got, I forget the Drifters, Benders.
I haven't actually read it or watched it.
Man. Anyways, you've got 3 different groups of people inhabiting 3 different places. And it's kind of Game of Thrones-esque. You've got a lot of political things, you've got a lot of backstabbing, you've got a lot of secret deals being made, you've got some betrayals. But you also have like this genetic mutation thing that's happening, and it's kind of being weaponized, and you don't know who is the good guys and who are the bad guys, and it's cool. I liked it a lot. Anyways, if you've watched The Expanse, check out this, or if you haven't watched The Expanse, check that out and read the books.
Cool, cool, cool.
This also obviously works for The Book Was Better on our squares.
It does.
I'm assuming The Book Was Better. I haven't read it yet.
I think both of them are like equally good, but I definitely say it's one of those books where, and granted, I haven't read it. I have friends that have read it. Like, when you read the book, you get more that they don't have time to include in the show. So my first book is a YA book. This is actually on our Nutmeg list for this year. I might have written the tagline for it in the Nutmeg flyer, which is Hunger Games in Space! That is essentially this book. It is great. So if you are a person that likes YA dystopia, or you have a teen that likes YA dystopia, give them this book. Essentially, a bunch of teens have been picked to go into space. And they are going to this planet to mine this special, like, element that's been found that's, like, it has a lot of different properties that can be exploited, essentially. So, you know, also has a dash of colonialism, and how that's bad. But the thing is, all these kids are fighting for this chance because most of them, when they start talking to each other, realize they don't come from the best backgrounds. So this is kind of their one shot. And if they make it, they make so much money. Our main character, his mom has cancer, so he's from Detroit, he's a black kid, he wants to just kind of have a better life for his family, and this is his one shot to do it. And so they're all kind of pitted against each other, very Hunger Games, but at the same time, there's two groups, because they're competitive, but the competitive groups have to work together within teams to compete against the other one. And part of it is to teach them how to, like, run this drill thing that's going to drill. But then also, the people that are inhabiting this planet are kind of hostile, so that's a little bit of a problem too. But they don't like adults, but they like teens, or they like younger people for whatever reasons. That's part of the reason they're getting sucked into space. And so it also has, like, a little bit of anti-capitalism, because of course there's the big bad company, which a lot of science fiction has. That's, I think, an Alien too. It's the company that sends you out into the middle of space to get infected by an alien, and then bring that back to Earth, because that's smart. See how we can weaponize it. So this also kind of has that little bit of the big bad, like, corporation that's controlling everything, and your life. It is good, it is thrilling, it is first in a series. Your turn.
Alright, I've got Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. So this one came out, ages and ages and ages ago.
It's a classic!
It's a classic, and it's actually being made into I don't know if it's a film or a series, but it just got optioned. It's in production. So the tagline for this is actually really great. In a world of extreme beauty, anyone normal is ugly. So, Tally lives in this world. This is a dystopian novel. And everything is normal until you turn 16. And once you turn 16, you undergo this operation that makes you instantly beautiful. And you kind of start living your life in paradise. Yeah, it isn't really exactly what is happening. And she meets this new girl, and this other girl is not interested in being pretty. And which is what they call it. So it's uglies and pretties. She's not interested in being pretty, she's not interested in having that kind of life, and she's kind of trying to live outside the normal world. And Shay kind of makes Tally think about her choices and think about where society is going and what is really happening. It's really great. I think, so it was a trilogy, and then there was a fourth book. I want to say that there's a fifth book coming out soon too, but I am not 100% on that. I want to say that is.
Maybe?
But, yeah, no, it's hard to keep track. But Scott Westerfeld is really good at writing those.
Yes. So my next book is also a Wi-Fi science fiction thriller. It is called Aurora Rising by Amie Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. What? Do you have a...
This is by the same author team. That's really funny. Oops. We did not talk about this prior.
No, we did not. We didn't talk about it at all. Because I just didn't think we were picking in something the same. But these are two separate series. So in this series, there is an elite group of space cadets, and they are teens. They are not quite graduated from their academy yet. And the main kid, Tyler, is like... if you've ever watched Battlestar Galactica, he's very much the Apollo. Like, he's the dutiful son. Like, I want to say their parents were also in the Corps and, like, died. And so he's very, like, hardcore about, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do my family proud, blah, 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 blah. His sister, I want to say, is a gay disaster. And she's more like the Starbuck of, like, yeah, let's get in a fight! And he's like, no, 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 no. And they have other friends, and of course there's some other people that get kind of roped into this mission. He, finds this wreck that's been missing for 200 years. And on it, it turns out, like, there's a life beacon, a signal coming on, and it's, he finds this girl who's been in cryostasis for 200 years. And she was going to, I think she was going to Mars or something like that. I can't remember the exact planet. It's been 2 years since I read this book. And something's not quite right with her, and he's not really sure what it is. But then he gets some special instructions to keep her safe and keep her away. And then, of course, it's a big, huge flowing trace of trying to keep her safe. What is wrong with her? She also has this whole, like, I'm a person out of time. Like, I was going to, like, live on this, like, new planet to be terraformed, and now I'm 200 years in the future. What? And now maybe I have some kind of weird superpower, and people are trying to, like, kidnap me because I might be a weapon? I'm just a girl who woke up 200 years too late. So, what is going on? So it's really good. So it kind of reminds me of, like, what if the Battlestar Galactica crew were teenagers? And they're already bad decision makers in BSG. So they're horrible as teens. That's kind of what it reminded me of when I was reading it. It was super fun. It was super thrilling. It had, like, space aliens and all kinds of really cool stuff in it. So I liked it. It also had, like, kind of a Star Trek vibe to it as well, too, to make it, like, a little bit easier. Because I know not everybody has actually watched BSG. So...
Cool.
What's yours about?
So, mine, it's Illuminae, and it looks really huge. And it is really big, but it's really cool because it's a case file.
Oh, cool.
I'm going to read the tagline here. Their planet is attacked, and Katie and Urza find themselves on a space fleet fleeing the enemy while their spaceship's artificial intelligence system in a deadly plague may be the end of it all. But it starts out with a file, and they're being interviewed, or Katie is being interviewed, and it kind of goes through some stuff, and you can see that there are things that are redacted, but there's also briefing notes and encrypted emails and like encyclopedia pages. There's like floor plans, so it's a fast read, but it isn't a lot. It is big, but it kind of goes too fast because you have all of these different parts of the book. And I want to say that it was a trilogy, and I feel like there's either a spin-off or there's another book after that.
I don't remember, but I am a sucker for alternative format books.
Yeah.
Cool. So my next one, I am foraying into adult sci-fi now. Martha Wells, this is the first one I could not get because it was not on the shelf. I think the first one's just called the Murderbot Diaries. That's the series. I think All Systems Red is the first one. So these are really small too. They have been up for the Nebula Awards, which is like the science fiction award, every year. They're so good. People really enjoy them. And they're also like pretty short. So if you're like, year of pandemic, I don't know what to read, I can't deal with something that's like 300 pages long, like try the Murderbot Diaries. So essentially the robot in question was a murder bot, and he did some terrible murders, and then like he's like, but why did I do the murders? Was I programmed to do the murders? And so he kind of gets sentience and starts trying to like live a different life and uncover more about like why and how these things occurred to him. And I'm just going to read this blurb by Annalise Nuez because it kind of says all of what you want to say about it. The Murderbot series is a heart-pounding thriller that never lets up, but it's also one of the most humane portraits of a non-human I've ever read. Come for the gunfights on other planets, but stay for the finely drawn portrait of a deadly robot whose smart-ass goodness will give you hope for the future of humanity. If that doesn't sell this book, then I don't know what else will. What's your next one?
So my next is Cinder. This is part of the quartet by Marissa Meyer. He's a new sticker. It is basically a Cinderella story if Cinderella was a cyborg.
Yeah, it's pretty cool and very popular at our library.
Yes, it is.
Cool. So I got two books because I got greedy, because this is my genre, whereas historical fiction was yours.
Romance is my genre.
Was true, but you...
I do like historical.
I don't hate historical fiction, it's just not my go-to. Like, I really will read everything, and I'm always like, I don't really like science fiction, and then I think, oh, no, I like that book. No, I like that book, because, like, I don't really... Jennifer knows it, you can give me anything, and I'm like, I'll read it, sure.
We're testing that out with Jill Chalmers.
Oh, that's because it's straight romance. Why do I have to read about
But it's the dog! You said you were going to read the dog one.
I did promise that. Why did I make this promise?
Things that we talk about on Get Booked.
Yeah. It means you have to read one of my gay romances. Alright, so...
I have said that's fine.
I know, I just have to pick a book. Alright, so... Actually, you read Written in the Stars, so I don't really... Dang it, I have to hold myself accountable. So, I love Star Wars. Star Wars is my jam. I'm actually more of a Star Wars fan than Star Trek. I like both of them, but this one has my heart. I grew up as a child, like, loving Star Wars and wanting to be a Jedi Knight. So, this is a series that was started after the new movies started coming out, and we started getting more Star Wars properties out there. So this is called Star Wars Aftermath by Chuck Wendig, who's a really great science fiction writer. This is cool because it happens right after, or not right after, a couple of years after the end of the fall of the Empire. But here's the thing that we don't really think about. We watch the movies and we're like, yeah, the Empire's done. But when you really get down to the reality of it, is the Empire done if they stretch across the whole entire galaxy? Yeah, that's hard, right? So, like, that's a rough one. So you still have Empire fleets that are hiding in the Outer Rims, and they're trying to organize and, like, do something. They're trying to, and maybe there's, like, another Death Star that's not completely done. I don't know why there's always a Death Star, but there seems to be. And so Wedge Antilles ends up getting, like, a ragtag group of people together. Or I think he's the one that finds the intelligence. But so some of the side characters, or some of the main characters in this book are actually side characters in the other movies that have, like, maybe, like, one-word speaking parts, which is pretty cool. Like, Snaps is a kid in this one, and he has a Murderbot that I love that's adorable. But yeah, and so it's a story of, like, a rebel fighter pilot who's trying to find her kid after the war, and her kid is Snaps. And he's like, but I've been doing good on my own, mother. I'm a teenager and I have issues. There is an Empire officer who is trying to, like, drink his problems away. Like, he wasn't really crazy about being in the Empire, but he doesn't really want to go back to it, so he ends up with this ragtag team. There's a couple others. Of course, there's always a bounty hunter that ends up with the group. So yeah, so it's them trying to thwart the Empire doing a big bad thing. That's absolutely terrible. It's very good. It's very adventurous. I love it. In my last book, I could not find the first one. It was not on the shelf, probably because the movie's about to come out soon. But I was going to talk about a classic, Dune. I have Dune Messiah here. We're not going to talk about this one. But the classic series by Frank Herbert is awesome. Did you ever read it? Nope. Okay, so reading it now as an adult, I'm like, he's very wordy, and he doesn't realize he's doing colonialism on this planet. That's a problem. But that's me doing the whole 21st century reread of it. But it's pretty cool because he does a whole intersection of, like, politics and faith. There definitely is a colonialism aspect to it. There's this whole, like, Messiah thing. It's just, like, it is a wild ride, and there's sandworms. Giant sandworms.
No, thank you.
And the whole thing is everyone wants to control this, like, planet in the middle of nowhere called Arrakis. Because if you can control the spice that's produced on Arrakis, you can control the world. Because their economy apparently is based on a hallucinogenic drug. Don't know why. But that's what Frank Herbert decided. The movie is about to come out soon in the next couple months with Timothée Chalamet.
Oh, I like him. He was Laurie.
I know! I was already prepared for this, because you're like, here's that. I was going to be like, it's Laurie, you love him. So he's going to play the lead Paul Atreides. And Jason Momoa is in it as well, too, as Duncan Idaho. I think it's Duncan Idaho or Gurney Halleck. Anyway, it has a great cast of characters. There's, like, horrible villains to hate. It's just great. It gets really weird later on in the series, so if you want to buckle up for that, cool. But yeah, it's a favorite of mine. It's, like I said, Frank Herbert's a little wordy, but, you know, if you can read a J.R.R. Tolkien book, you can get through Frank Herbert. So, he likes descriptions. You know how Tolkien likes descriptions? Yes.
I tried reading him once. It did not go well.
Oh, I read all of his stuff except for the Silmarillion, because apparently that was my intention, was just like, no, we can't do that. Alright, so what else should we talk about today?
We have some prizes to give away. We
Prizes!
have an Inishmore pub gift card, and just mean to throw that. And we have a Rings and Things gift card.
Yay! So, we're doing two.
We're doing two.
Do we want to talk about why we're doing two, or?
One is for this month, and one was from last month.
Yep. There we go. Because we're not great.
We're behind. It's okay. You're picking.
Oh, I was like, why are you shaking things? Alright, so this is for the Rings and Things.
Cool.
This one goes to Tess Lundgren.
And that means, Abigail Oswald, you are Inishmoring.
Cool.
These prizes will be upstairs at the circulation desk.
So come on in and get them.
Yes.
Cool.
We are closed, just a reminder, so this goes up on Friday, but this Friday is Good Friday. We are closed. We are also closed on Saturday. So, next week we'll see you.
Yes.
For these.
Monday, 10 a.m., bright and early. Just kidding. You can come whenever you want. Just not this weekend because we're closed. Alright, so...
Everybody else, come on, get your bingo cards filled, or your bingo part filled, and you'll get a mug and or a candle, and then you too can have your name pulled, or in the drawing to be pulled.
Yes, as you shake the fishbowl menacingly at my head. Alright, so we hope you enjoy this month's science fiction fix as much as we do. We have a bunch of other stuff. We have a science fiction book for everything and everyone. Just you wait. Alright.
I'm waiting on that one. She's gonna convince me one day.
We just have to talk about what you're willing to put up with.
I like dystopian. That's about it. Hi. We will see you all next week.
You really should read Nyxia. So, we'll see y'all next week.